dark spot here. Fellow Toastmasters, no guests, but I'm glad that you're here with us this evening, and I hope that you enjoy our opportunity to go through this program this evening. This evening I want to talk about verbal criticism. Verbal criticism is something we receive all the time. You're getting information, you get feedback. Even here at Toastmasters, you get feedback on the things that you do. Now, very often, one of the key points in getting feedback is how you respond to that feedback. You can use it as an opportunity to grow and develop your own personal abilities, or you can use it as a springboard to get into further conflict and other less fortunate situations. So this evening, I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens when you receive verbal criticism. All right, now, many times when someone at work or at home comes up and tells you something that you may not necessarily like, you may not necessarily agree with, then there are a lot of ways that you can react to this. One way, you can withdraw. You can fall back on yourself and say, I don't want to get in a conflict. I'm going to completely avoid this situation. I'm going to hide, and that's going to be the end of it. Now, this may be, in some circumstances, the best response. But most of the time, this response will only develop a situation where you have less self-respect and less self-esteem. Because someone has broken through your personal idea of what is right and wrong, or what you should or could have done, and you did not feel in your heart, you may not have responded the way that you really would want to, but rather kind of ran away. Now, another way that you can respond to criticism is to rationalize. You know, yeah, I did that, but the reason I did that was because. And usually what this does is this creates a motion of continual conflict. Yeah, well, you did this, but I did it because of this. Well, you shouldn't have done it because of that, because of this. Well, because of that, I did this. Because you did that, I did that. And it causes continual and perpetual conflict. So that is not necessarily ever a good way to deal with a conflict situation. Now, one way that a lot of people deal with criticism is the counterattack. You know, you really should have done this. Yeah, well, it's your fault, because if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't be doing that. And so then, of course, obviously, this is going to create a greater amount of tension, and in some cases, it could eventually lead to a complete parting of the ways between friends, family, co-workers, or anyone else that happens to be involved in this conflict. Another very important thing about a counterattack type situation is the old, I believe, Chinese saying that when you see two people who are arguing, it's very difficult to figure out which one is the fool. Okay? So, counterattack is never a good method to resolve a conflict. Now, the best way to deal with a conflict is a non-defensive method. That basically says that you are opening this conflict to conversation. Rather than argument, you're trying to resolve the situation. You're trying to create no conflict situation between two people. Now, this can be very difficult at times. So, there are certain steps that are best to create a non-defensive, open conversation. First, most important thing in any kind of relationship is listen. You're given 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's a reason for that. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. Okay? So you listen. You try to determine what is the cause. And not just, oh, you didn't wash the dishes tonight. Okay, well, yeah, okay, I didn't wash the dishes. Why are you so upset? There's something more. Well, maybe it was because I didn't wash the dishes tonight. I didn't wash the dishes last night. I didn't do something else a week ago. Or maybe I forgot your birthday. Who knows what it is? But you can find out, try to listen, find out that deeper reason why they are in this conflict. Okay, then acknowledge the affirmation of that person's need. People don't necessarily come and criticize you unless they have a need within themselves. So, and it's not a bad thing. If someone feels like they have been neglected or in some way slighted in their relationships with you, then it's perfectly natural for them to come to you and say, hey, I feel neglected, I feel slighted, why are you doing this? But of course, nobody ever does that. They always come with something else. There's always some little thing, the last straw, that finally breaks. And that's what they come to you with. So you need to acknowledge, yes, it is something I did wrong. Now, how can we resolve this problem? What can we do? So by acknowledging what is their need for that deeper cause that we've already listened to, then we can come up with better things. Now, how can you do all this? Ask questions. Okay, don't just try to listen to what they have to say and then try to respond, even affirming what their needs are or anything like that. But ask. That's the way you can find out, where are we going? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? How can we resolve this? Ask the questions. Many different things can come up. And then, once they give you an answer and you realize what is the deeper cause, what is their need, then you should reaffirm what you have experienced. Oh, so I understand that you're very upset because I forgot your birthday and I'm not doing the dishes every day like I'm supposed to. I'm sorry. I will try to do it again, try to improve on that. And you know I'm a little bit forgetful about birthdays, so maybe if you give me some hints a week ahead of time, I might be more likely to remember. Okay? And finally, you want to agree with what is true. You don't necessarily want to agree with everything, because generally, or oftentimes, when people get really upset, they bring up things that may or may not be true, and it may be their perception of reality based on their bad feelings at the moment, but those don't necessarily become true things. These might be a penetrilla of their real feelings, something that's hidden off in the corner. All right? So these are the ways that we try to diffuse our people who come to us with criticism. So in the next portion of this program, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Kedra come up, and she is going to have some conflict that she is going to use to try to deal with me. What has happened in this scenario is we've been working together for months on this project, and it's a very important project for our company. Now, we just got out of a staff meeting, and I'm feeling really good because I got some praise from my superiors about how good a job we are doing on this project. Now, we're equal partners, but she feels that, she may feel that I'm not doing as I should. So, if you'll come up and we'll have a short conversation.
Joe, I just kind of feel like we didn't, I just kind of feel like what you said kind of gave you, you know, all the praise and all the credit for this project. And hey, I'm used to people stealing my ideas. I'm used to people taking my credit. I'm used to that. I mean, I used to give it away in school, do people's homework, etc., etc. I'm kind of getting tired of it. When I work on a project, I want some credit now. I mean, there's a chance that I got passed up for a promotion because of this. And I'm just not happy right now. I mean, 10 years ago, if this would have happened, if this were like the high school project and the rest of the group was getting credit and I was sitting back and everything, I probably would be okay with it. But Joe, I am almost 30 years old. I think I've learned a thing or two, and I think I've learned one thing is you don't need to lose face in front of the boss. If he thought I just sat back and didn't do anything with this and didn't do anything to help anyone with this project, which is the way I feel you and the others who worked with me made him believe. And you know, I'm not much on communicating. I'm not much on doing that. Usually I just send an email. Usually I'm just like, oh, hi, how are you? You know, and things like that. But this time, Joe, I don't think it makes sense. I think I should have gotten as much credit as everyone else.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry that you feel this way. I really believe that I understand what you're trying to say, and that is that number one, you're not getting the credit that you deserve from this particular project, and that you're feeling that this is going to be a detriment to your moving ahead in the company. Is that correct?
I definitely think that, Joe.
Okay. Yes, well, I'm really sorry about that. And what do you think that we could do maybe to rectify this situation? Because I don't want that to be the
anything that can be done, really, though, because they're not going to listen. They're going to think, oh, she's just coming in and she's just trying to get credit where she didn't get credit, because that's the way people are.
Okay, I can tell you that in all the emails that I have sent, I never actually claimed responsibility for everything as me. My emails were always as a team. Whether that was misinterpreted by the powers that be, by Mike and Joe, the other Joe, then I really do want to change that perception, because I respect what you have done. Mm-hmm. I really feel that you're a major contributor to this program, and we would never be where we are without what you have done. So I really feel honored for the work that you did, and I don't want to take credit for anything that you have done. So I'm hoping that we can work together and continue to work together, and